Raid World War II, once the ugly stepchild of Payday spin-offs, even uglier than Rocket City at launch, if you can believe that, is back. It just received an absolutely massive community-driven update that has changed some of its most archaic and unrefined systems, reshaping the game as a genuinely fun and engaging Payday-like, worthy of that comparison. It's always been a game with soul, but never had the chance to spread its wings and really differentiate itself within the co-op shooter genre. But with the freedom of independent, passion-led development by a trio of talented volunteers no less, who weren't constrained by unsustainable publisher deadlines or clumsy design oversight, it's been given a second chance at life, developing into an experience worth trying out even in 2024, if you don't mind that trademark diesel engine jank. A little history lesson first for those not in the know. Raid was developed by Lion Game Lion, led by the talented former Overkill co-founder and Stabreeze lead level designer Ilya Petrusik, better known to Payday 2 fans as Ilya the Sniper. Their team was responsible for the likes of the Bomb Heist, mixed reviews, but also the universally adored Golden Green Casino in Payday 2. So it wasn't a huge surprise when this offshoot dev team took on their own standalone Starbreeze produced take on the Payday formula in Raid World War II. The game did a great job with its initial setting and world building, releasing what I still think was one of the most expertly crafted trailers for a Starbreeze related game ever, but certainly fell short of those expectations on launch. Built in a slightly newer version of Diesel, Payday 2's engine, but releasing over 4 years later with a much muddier colour palette, outsiders viewed the game as archaic and janky, and much like Payday 3 is experiencing today, sitting in that 4-player co-op heisting genre meant it was directly competing with Starbreeze's own Payday 2, which was already a juggernaut by late 2017, with a dedicated player base that wasn't willing to move over for a less content-filled experience. Sound familiar? As a result, it launched to little to no fanfare, with even cross-promotions within Payday 2 not doing enough to entice players over. It hit a peak PC player count of 1,492 at launch, and was critically panned. To Starbreeze, this was an abject disappointment at a time where disappointments outside of Payday 2 were becoming the norm for the studio, supporting it with little to no marketing fanfare, being burdened with less than stellar reviews, and no amount of John Cleese chatting absolute bollocks could ever save it. After just 8 months and only 19 updates, the game fell silent, seemingly abandoned as it was no longer feasible for the team to support, despite a small, dedicated fanbase clinging on. But that's all ancient history now for Raid. In 2022, signs of life re-emerged out of nowhere, as smaller, sporadic updates started cropping up to make the game truly playable again. These were all community-led passion projects. It wasn't much, but to the few who still love this game, it was more than enough, culminating in what we see now as of August 2024. Raid Resurgence. The game has gone from single-digit player figures to a couple of hundred hopping on, plenty to find full lobbies and enjoy co-op raiding once again. With this context, hopefully, you can see just how incredible an achievement this is for the team behind it. It's testament to the power of community, especially a talented modding community, who have really pushed the boundaries of what can be done within the Diesel engine. Unfortunately, the prevailing thought is that being proficient in Diesel in 2024 is a little bit like being fluent in Latin. Sure, it's impressive and there must be some transferable skills, but no one's speaking it anymore, and good luck finding anyone who understands you. But sic vita est, when you do anything this well, it's gonna turn some heads, including mine. My personal history with Raid is a bit strange. I played the beta back in September 2017 pretty intently, as I loved the setting and concept behind the characters, and honestly that first trailer caught me off my seat, but at the time I was already burnt out on the Payday 2 formula, and so didn't have it in me to commit much energy to the game on full release, especially after seeing it seem so dumbed down in many areas. I was at uni at the time, and honestly the choice between sitting in my flat dealing with more Diesel jank or going out and drinking VKs with the boys seemed like a no-brainer. But I'm older and hopefully wiser now. My VK slinging days are over, on weekdays at least, and Raid just got a hell of a lot better, so let's dive into Update 22 to see why this forgotten title is well worth a try in 2024. Update 22 Resurgence for Raid is exactly that, a complete and utter revival and rebirth of the beleaguered title. It addressed some of the game's greatest problems, working closely with the community and fans of the Payday series more generally to craft an efficiently focused overhaul of key systems, which makes playing the game a bloody treat compared to where it was at launch. Whilst the changelog is about as long as my arm, this update can really be broken down into 4 core elements: a skill overhaul, a new loot system, an enemy rebalance, and a visual cleanup with a few additional tangible improvements sprinkled throughout. I can think of another title that could do with this kind of wide-reaching love and attention around about now, but anyway, enough about my albatross. The Blammo sweep really begins with Proficiencies 2.0. Proficiencies in Raid used to boil down to copy-paste stat buffs, often taken directly from Payday 2 with no unique flair. Proficiencies are now innovative, have depth in their application, and are fun to build and theory craft around. Gone is that linear menu, although the concept around leveling up your chosen skills with experience gained on raids remains, allowing the team to develop single skills that cover a range of applications and grow deeper as you spend more time with them. It's pretty damn unique in my experience. As for how you choose to equip and specialise in these skills, they must first be purchased for gold bars, the main consumable resource you earn in this game. As you level, you'll unlock more slots for your classes, maxing out to the possible 8 skill slots total, allowing you to do some quite impressive mixing and matching, choosing between 23 options for each class type: Recon, Assault, Insurgent, and Demolitions. These builds can range from a Demolitions Grenade build, where you'll be role-playing Ulapul Kaber Demo Man, Melee Insurgent, where you're literally rewarded for punching Nazis' heads off, an LMG Assault build that has high critical chance and the room to carry multiple heavy loot bags at once, or a Sniper-focused Recon build which plays around dealing massive damage over range, whilst buffing our pistol as a functional secondary. Honestly, playing the melee build is up there with some of the most fun I've had in any game recently, so I seriously recommend you give Insurgent a go. That's not even scratching the surface though, as there are some other seriously interesting and inventive skills, such as High Dive, which lets you make a superhero landing where you don't take any fall damage, or Brass Knuckle Boxer, which grants melee a headshot multiplier. The standardized skills available across all classes are also well designed and balanced, granting simple stat boosts that make you a better all-around raider. These can be surface deep, such as sprint speed, stamina, and carry weight buffs, or have more nuanced and specialized applications, such as using your Warcry meter as a secondary health bar, or becoming more effective on the mounted MGs you'll come across on most raids. There are even interesting stealth skills to help you play more aggressively outside of combat, if that floats your boat in this game. For stealth fans, it feels like a bit of a mixture between Payday 2 and Crime Boss, without any pages to worry about, meaning you can methodically slash your way through the missions, luring guards in with the coin throwable before tactically hiding their bodies. Back onto the RPG mechanics though, even beyond just your base skills, you'll also have room for a Warcry and passive boost in every build you put together. Think of Warcries as overkill weapons earned throughout a mission, but actually usable on demand once unlocked. Oh, and not shit. These provide passive boons to your teammates, as well as fun, addictive gameplay effects on use, with this update expanding our options by adding 3 more Warcries to our arsenal. Silver Bullet for Recon grants wall hacks and allows our shots to pierce through any cover, like a better Red Fox. Sentry for Assault turns you into Soldier 76, granting a massive accuracy boost at the cost of movement speed, and Pain Train for the Insurgent activates a forward charge ability, knocking down and damaging every enemy in your path. Just implementing these game-changing Warcries was an impressive feat in and of itself. Boosts will then further buff your Warcries, giving you more options to play around with synergies and create truly unique builds. This, in theory, is still a flat skill system though, a bit like Payday 3's, which I openly dislike. But not only is it surprisingly well balanced, which I thought couldn't be done, each skill is highly individualized and leans towards a clear playstyle or simplifies a core mechanic of the game, instead of being overly non-specific. This means you're encouraged to seek out synergies and lean into a playstyle that suits your class or weapon, and with only 8 to pick from for a complete build, you'll have to make trade-offs. It's a really impressive and engaging system, and I've just started to scratch the surface of the crazy things you're now capable of with a fully optimized setup. The loot system has also seen massive improvements, learning from Crime Boss and Payday 3's Transporter skill line to allow you to stack multiple bags. It might not be quite as polished visually, but mechanically it's the most in-depth and logical approach to loot and carrying within the entire genre. Each loot item is given a logical weight value, allowing you to mix and match depending on the individual stats your class has to fit its general playstyle, slowing you down the more encumbered you are. You can then throw out whatever things you're carrying in the order you decide by this handy radial menu, also enabling you to spit out all the bags you're carrying in one go, reducing the amount of loot micromanagement you'll need to mess around with. It's a funny one because in heisting games, loot mechanics are kind of a non-negotiable, but they also create serious design pitfalls as a system pulled off incorrectly will just frustrate and force repetitive backtracking. Raid seems to have nailed the formula now, and I wonder if any other games in the pipeline will see this innovation and follow suit. One of the more nebulous but certainly noticeable changes has to be to the game's enemy AI. Not only are there a few new visual designs to contend with, the cop equivalents have been statistically rebalanced, reducing their health and spawn rates as to avoid them becoming a horde of low IQ bullet sponges on very hard difficulty. But in return, the devs have also improved their responsiveness and pathing, making them more dangerous than ever, even in their reduced numbers. I'd still say Raid is more of an arcadey horde shooter type game than something like Payday 3, especially with its at times comical gore, but taking on these hordes is now a lot less of a chore. Instead, it's actually quite engaging and forces you to consider your build even further. Most of the weapons in the game have also been rebalanced to better mesh with the new enemy health pools, and whilst these seem like nerfs on the surface, it's more of a case of just creating an arsenal better suited to Raid's current state of balance. I've yet to come across anything that isn't at least viable, and some guns are outright incredibly enjoyable to wield, such as the Sten, Thompson, or MP40. Shotguns have also been fully modernised, moving away from Payday 2's strange system, which has always been a balancing nightmare, wherein pellet-based shotguns always deal the same damage regardless of how many pellets landed. Now, each pellet deals a fraction of the weapon's total potential damage, which is exactly how it should be, rewarding accurate play and resulting in shotguns being incredibly fun to use, if a little overpowered. Dare I say it, I also like the way weapon progression works, based simply around using a weapon as intended and hitting milestones to unlock new attachments. It's arcadey and doesn't have a lot of depth to it, but there's a simple satisfaction in seeing the weapon you're using get almost linearly stronger over time. The game has also experienced a few visual tweaks and updates to make it infinitely more playable in 2024. I've experienced zero stuttering issues or hard crashes, which were commonplace before the update and pretty unforgivable performance drops for a game of its age. Outside of stability though, the game just looks better on all fronts. Lighting has been reworked across the board, giving genuine vibrancy to some levels that benefit from it. There are new textures in places, more clutter and vegetation, and new particle effects added, resulting in more believable environments. The team have done a general visual pass across the entire game that's given it a new sheen, which might be exactly what you need to approach it like the fresh and new experience it now is. Audio has also been tweaked and improved, with persistent bugs finally squashed, an additional Raider voiceover finally implemented and rigged to play properly. The Raid gang already had solid personalities, with Sterling's blammo probably the only thing that transcended the game itself before this update, but now they're all even chattier, putting the Payday 3 gang to shame and making each raid that bit more lively. This update has also introduced a modding tool, which was added automatically to your library, making modding more accessible and giving the game a new lease of life outside of these massive but infrequent updates. It really is as if they're righting all the wrongs of Payday 3 in a single update, with mods sadly falling by the wayside over there, but finally being nurtured here thanks to this development. I'm so impressed by not only the depth of this update, but also its breadth, covering virtually every element of the game, both inside and out. It's an absolutely rock-solid foundation stone from which it can hopefully build in the future. Already, the gameplay hits just right by me, and there are already newly developed mechanics in place to add even more depth moving forward. In total, there are over 14 pages of patch notes, including anything from weightier player movement and mantling, new dynamic reticles, and improved UI across the board. This is all now in the game and immediately noticeable. They went over the bloody word limit for patch notes on Steam if you want any idea of the scope of this update a year in the making. It's likely you'll be experiencing the benefits of this in the background without even consciously realising it's a new feature that's been slaved away on. The dedication from the team is unreal, especially knowing there was no guarantee their hard work would be met with actual interest from the community. Not to mention, the game has since been hotfixed again, showing the long-term outlook the team has for this project, especially after what was an excellent initial response to their gameplay adjustments. My goal at this stage is to expose even more people to what Raid is rapidly becoming, a genuine successor to the Payday lineage that has just enough of its own unique flair to stand alone and be worthy of your attention if you like the formula. Clearly the game is in the best state it has ever been, and long may that trajectory continue. I'm hopeful we might see even more ambitious additions further down the line as more people start to appreciate the new lease of life Raid has been granted. I seriously wish the guys the best of luck. Thank you in particular to Leon for assisting me in producing this video, and for all three of the devs for popping into streams of the game. Your passion for what you do is self-evident, and that's why everything you're touching is clearly turning to gold. You can grab Raid World War II for just £3.19 until the 15th of August, so act fast if this video has piqued a genuine interest. I don't think you'll regret it at that price. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you bright and early next week for what Payday 3 has in store, but until then, I'll be raiding it up with the boys. Take care, I'll see you soon. A huge thank you to my dedicated Patreon backers. If you want to join this crew in going infamous, check out the link below and pledge as little as $2 to see your name in the credits, or get 24-hour early access to future videos and vote on upcoming content. Take care, I'll see you all soon.